We've been talking about economic stability, therefore social stability, and most importantly, as you point out, political stability. How are they going to achieve this?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, according to the economists that we've spoken to. And, you know, I've covered a lot of these National People's Congress and then their annual growth target. And the one trend that I've always noticed is that they tend to set the bar fairly low. And they like to beat or at least meet those expectations rather than miss them. So by setting it at a fairly ambitious about 5.5%, which was at the top end of most economists' expected range, and especially, you know, the IMF is expecting about 4.8%. The consensus estimate for this year is about 5.1%. Of course, all these expectations have been ratcheted down in the recent months, especially through that downturn that we saw in the fourth quarter, with the housing slump really being exacerbated by the liquidity crunch at those developers. You know, there's not a lot of optimism right now, except if the Chinese government really opens up the taps and does their old tried and true infrastructure spending and also cuts interest rates, perhaps, economists say. But that's a tough one because look at the price of crude, and China is a big importer of crude and especially also, you know, big importer of Russian energy as well. There are so many variables out there. So to peg about 5.5%. Yes, it is the smallest target in 3 decades and would be the slowest pace of growth in those 3 decades, except for 2020, which was a pandemic year. They didn't obviously have a target that year, and there was a fall off in growth. But again, they're fairly ambitious at higher than or about 5.5%. You have to see where they're going to get that growth without stoking their debt issues and without stoking inflation. This is what Premier Li Keqiang said Saturday, giving his annual work report. He says the risks and challenges facing China's development have increased significantly this year. The harder things get, the more confident we must be. Well, China's been preparing for these uncertainties for a long time. They want to be more self-sufficient in many areas. Food security is going to be a big one, with price of wheat going up and China's reliance on food from outside places. Xi Jinping told the CPPCC over the weekend China should focus more on domestic food markets to ensure food security.